thanks very much, and I appreciate being invited to this book signing on top of everything else, and certainly a number of real Canadians here in the audience. Because we're here for a proclamation for the Canadian, the actually official Canadian Appreciation Day. So I want to at least make sure we have some Canadians here. And the other, I was going to say, and there was some reference to the change in our dollar exchange, but I now know that in this book, when you do purchase it, it now has a higher price if you're buying in U.S. dollars. So I'm sure everybody appreciates that. We certainly, I am very, very pleased to be here with you, and for just the reasons Matt was mentioning, it certainly is an important component for Scottsdale. And we understand, of course, even in the title and of course the book itself, that Scottsdale is featured as the brand for a vacation destination. We think we're well deserved that, for sure, but nevertheless, it's great that we've been able to translate that into what we see in economic development, actually encouraging and bringing Canadian investment, particularly now with our inspired new dollar and that. But I mean, it certainly is, it's great to see that translation, and we love that effort here in Scottsdale, for sure. You know, and I think, again, it was a little bit of a mention on it, but I've got a list of them. We've just in the last few months, the number of Canadian companies that have started operations here in Scottsdale in aerospace and in restaurants and in property development, of course. And if you're not familiar with these names, the Airsprint Private Aviation, I went and visited with them just a couple of weeks ago, but they're down here in Scottsdale at our airport, Scottsdale Airport. Sky Power Solar Engineers and Colliers International has been here for a lot of years, of course. Inexus Biotechnologies, Zayo Corporation, Icony Insulation, Statesman USA, Avenir Group, which is another organization that I had a ribbon cutting for one of their new facilities not too very long ago. A fantastic organization. It's done some very innovative things here in Scottsdale with regard to green and environmental concerns. It's really that's a great credit to them. So we certainly want to encourage and frankly want to indicate the appreciation we have and welcome Canadian investment certainly here in Scottsdale. It's an important part of what we are about. We think we're a great place it's a great place of contrast from the standpoint of most Canadian destinations. I will say too, I have to throw this in as a little bit of a sidebar, but over this last weekend I ended up going and meeting with a group that we're having, and maybe you're all familiar with this, I don't know, but a curling what is it, Bonspiel. Yeah, and I've gotten a little bit of education. I took curling 101 as I was walking in the door, but out on the ice, and I thought, hey, this is great. We've encapsulated a whole environment. It's about 20 degrees in this place, but great ceremony. If you're familiar with that, it's now an Olympic event, of course, and I'm sure the Canadians have an edge on this deal, but nevertheless, just a great ceremony. And when they offered me a shot of Drambuie as a way to supposedly pay the piper, I don't know how I got into that mix. I said, okay, I'll do that. Anyway, good group, and we were great to have them too. But as I said, I'm really here for just a proclamation, just to give an indication of what Scottsdale is all about, and I have to break out my specs on this one. I've hit a decade that's probably far beyond where you're at. Just recently, I will say. But the proclamation reads: whereas Canada is the largest and fastest growing component of local international travel, and whereas in 2010 more than 600,000 Canadians visited Arizona, but that's pretty much the whole country, right? Continuing the trend of setting new records for Canadians who are looking to Arizona for both business and leisure opportunities. Whereas the number of scheduled 2010 direct flights from Arizona to major Canadian cities were up to 80 flights per week for the winter season. And whereas there are now an estimated 90,000 Canadians living in Arizona full-time. And whereas our Canadian community members are continuing to help Scottsdale in the real estate and home building market recovery. And whereas today marks the launching of Investing in the U.S., a concise guide for Canadians in the Valley, home to the book's author, Dale Walters. And now, therefore, I, W.J. Jim Lane, Mayor of the City of Scottsdale, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, April 20th, 2011. This is the kind of thing we do for you. Canadian Appreciation Day in Scottsdale, and urge my fellow citizens to join me in recognizing this honor and extend our sincere appreciation and warm wishes to those in celebration of the book launch and continued travel by Canadians into our city for business, pleasure, investment, and retirement. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand to cause to be affixed the seal of the great city of Scottsdale, Arizona, this 5th day of April 2011. So I think that's
basically, I've been working at Keats Conley Associates, the leading firm on dealing with Canadian, whether investing or retiring or whatever, any cross-border activity, we have some expertise in. So I started with them in 1994. I get my dates right. 1994. So that's 17 years. And since that time, I've been dealing with hundreds and hundreds of Canadians, learning the laws of both countries, and learning from trial and error, and learning from the great mentorship of Bob Keats, who was one of the founders of Keats Conley Associates. And I finally fulfilled at least one of my bucket list items of writing a book and being an author. So I hope you enjoy the book. Please read it and let me know what you think of it, good, bad, or otherwise, because there will be other additions and I'd like to improve it. And so whatever you think needs to be added or taken out or changed, I sincerely like those that feedback. And that's all I have. Please enjoy, and thanks again for coming out.